have here the KEEBFORCE Everglide SU75 Pro, one of the most aesthetic keyboards I've ever tested in my entire YouTube career. The PCB on this keyboard has both north-facing and south-facing LEDs. Have you seen that on any other keyboards before? I personally have tested nearly 200 keyboards already, and this is the first for me. Hi, I'm Daniel with the Biboyharanero team. We've been reviewing keyboards, mice, and audio gear since 2019. Consider subscribing so you're always updated with our new video releases and market updates. Anyways, not only is this keyboard aesthetic, but it also has competitive level specifications, featuring an 8K polling rate and magnetic switches for customizable actuation points. I tested this out for gaming and it performed really well, as I did not feel any inconsistencies with my keystrokes or even delay, which was something you would expect from a wired keyboard. So yeah, this keyboard only has one connectivity being wired, so you're gonna need that wire to connect this to your PC. Duh. I have no issues with it, as in order for you to get stable 8K polling rate, this is a must. The keyboard is made in the 75% layout with a tray-mounted structure so it doesn't bounce, unlike gasket-mounted keyboards. This has a full aluminum body, both top case and bottom case, so it's really heavy and solid. Looking closely at the keycaps, you have polycarbonate keycaps that look really cool with the large legends. Then underneath those keycaps, you get Everglide Skyline switches with 47-gram springs within. Highly recommended for typists, but a hit and miss for gaming, and I will go over this in more detail later on. This has a hot swap PCB, and the PCB is compatible with Gateron switches or TTC magnetos. The board is not only beautiful, but it's also a versatile keyboard that has very good specifications, but magnetic keyboards are highly dependent on software performance. Let's go over that here real quick. So we have here the software of the SU75 Pro. Just go to xsyd.top and you'll be able to access that. First and foremost, you have 4 configurations to customize right here, and then you have the main tabs at the left-hand side as well. Over at performance setting, here you will be able to set your trigger settings such as rapid trigger, dead zone, and the switches installed. So you could add in magnetic Jade Pros, TTC magnetos, or the stock Wukong or Skyline switches that you could get the SU75 with. Now, the next sub-tab is where you do your keyboard calibration. Moving on with the lighting settings, you have the lighting modes here and some more options here to choose from, such as brightness and speed. On the customizable buttons, this is where you do your key binding, and I think it's worth mentioning that you could bind even your mouse buttons onto your keyboard. I'm also seeing the function layers here, which is a good thing. Onto advanced keys, this is where you do your advanced magnetic feature customization, such as SOCD or snap tap and dynamic keystroke. There are a lot more features that you could use, but I personally only use SOCD, dynamic keystroke, and very rarely mod tap. So basically what mod tap does is if you press on a key, it's going to hold the key for you. Actually, I'm wrong. It's toggle key. So it's toggle key that holds a switch for you with just one press. And then for dynamic keystroke, I use this specifically on Assassin's Creed. Let me play a quick video here for you guys. I show this video in every review I make. When I lightly press on W, the character crouches, and when I press it all the way down, he sprints. And that's how I use dynamic keystroke. Moving on with SOCD, this allows you to just hold on A and then tap on D. This will allow very fluid AD-AD transition and allowing your character, be it in Counter-Strike or whatever first-person shooter, to just jitter left and right. Now onto macro settings. I haven't recorded a macro here, but let's do that real quick. So just did a quick test there, and unfortunately it doesn't detect your mouse clicks. I couldn't even insert mouse clicks in there, so that's one room for improvement of this keyboard. Now over at my configuration tab, this is self-explanatory. You could save or export out your configurations from this device. And then the next tab is again self-explanatory. This is where you do your resets or your firmware updates. I think it's worth mentioning also that you could set your return rate right there. So I just set it to 1K and it refreshed the software and the whole entire keyboard. So I'm just gonna reconnect that one and we are back. But first I gotta translate it to English, and that's pretty much it. The box is pretty straightforward with a keyboard, cable, and key puller combo. You get no PET anti-dust cover to protect the keyboard from dust, so that was a bummer for me. However, onto the cable, I think this is really very good because not only is it thick, but it is silicone coated. You will have to stretch it a little bit though to straighten it out. It's also a bit crunchy and not flexible, but that's understandable due to its thickness. Now back to the keyboard. This weighs a lot for a 75 95% aluminum build, and this is mainly because the base of the keyboard has thick aluminum on it. Then, speaking of the bottom case, you get what I believe is a weight plate colored in bronze. Then, for an aesthetic touch, is a small malunggay flower. If you're Filipino, you know what I mean. Since we're already looking underneath, here you will find the anti-slip rubber padding so it doesn't move around your desk. Now, moving on to the aluminum finish, the keyboard's coat is what I believe is called electrophoretic finish. This is due to the rubbery texture of the aluminum finish, making it feel very premium. It is super smooth and very satisfying to touch and feel. The keyboard is angled for better typing comfort, and with this being an aluminum keyboard, no, it doesn't have kick-up feet. But that's fine, it's all good, as I think the angle on the keyboard is just right. The USB-C input is panned to the left side, so I thought that was perfect so you could put things on top of your keyboard when positioned on your desk. That's pretty much it. I really think the build quality on this thing is worth the price you're paying for, and definitely above average at that. The keycaps here are polycarbonate built and made in cherry profile, which I thought was perfect. I am used to cherry profiles, and I also would highly recommend cherry profiles to all hand types, especially beginners. Based on personal experience, since I switched to cherry profile keycaps, I just made less mistakes and was typing more accurately. But that's just me. It would still depend highly on user preference. And maybe finger length? The stabilizers are perfect. They fit the plate really tightly so they don't wobble around, and it doesn't sound rattly even without modifications. It's very rare that I encounter this level of stabilizer performance on a pre-built keyboard. You don't have to modify it right out of the box, but of course, that's still your choice if you want to waste some time. But do note that the stabilizers here are pre-lubricated and may feel a little bit mushy or sticky right out of the box, because you're going to have to break them in. And in about 500 presses or so, the stabilized keys should start to feel less sticky and more smooth, as the grease has spread out more evenly. Onto the skyline switches. These feel very smooth, and I didn't feel any scratching happening inside the switch. It's also because the switch has a palm stem, and the nature of palm just allows for a smooth plastic-to-plastic contact versus other plastic types. Then, the switch also has RGB diffusers to help make LEDs less glaring. Overall, keycaps, stabilizers, switches, perfect. I honestly could not think of any rooms for improvement in this regard. Oh yeah, here's a sound test. Now on to aesthetics. This is offered in 3 colorways. You have the black colored one, a red, and a silver theme. I went with the red one as I think it's the most aesthetic. But yeah, it's just my opinion. You might find the black one or the silver one more appealing. With the red colorway, you get the red PC keycaps with white prints on them. And I'm not sure if these legends will hold up for a long time. Yet I'd like to believe that these legends being printed onto the keycap has another layer of plastic on top of it to help protect the print. However, this is a detail I still need to confirm with KEEBFORCE, so if I'm wrong, I will leave a pinned comment down below. Speaking of comments, let me know if you have any questions. And of course, I will leave links down in the description below on where to get your SU75 Pro. Now with that out of the way, let's proceed. Back to the keycaps, you have this cat icon at the upper right corner below the home key. I would remap that into a print screen if I were you. Then moving on to light indicators, this has a circular LED by the arrow keys. And when pressing caps lock, it turns static blue, which I think is a good implementation because I always press caps lock by mistake. So having that indicator, that's very obvious, is good. Then for Winlock, pressing the function key and the super key will leave its LED turned on. Onto LEDs, this is the most interesting feature of this keyboard, as again, this has north-facing and south-facing LEDs. You can cycle through just the north-facing LED or the south-facing LED, or maybe even both, with just the function key and backspace. It's so cool that the Skyline switches have a translucent top housing, which allows for the light to shine through effortlessly. Then, with the translucent PC keycaps, this keyboard becomes Christmas light equipped, ready for the holidays. The light shines so brightly, and I'm glad this is a wired keyboard, because if this were wireless, it would surely eat up the battery. But anyways, there's that. If you have any questions, again, use the comment section below. I will leave links in the description on where to get your Everglide SU75 Pro, and be sure to get it from KEEBFORCE, by the way. I'll see you guys again next time. Bye-bye.